Hello again. I know it might come as a surprise to some of you. It has been 3 days, not 3 months, since my last upload, and I'm here again. Or at least 3 days since I last recorded. It might be a little bit longer by the time this gets uploaded, but something interesting happened. The day after I dropped part two of my uh new player guide, and Noita had a really huge update, and I'm talking like a huge update to their main branch because really it's been what 2 3 years since like the last main huge update dropped, and so I'm expecting a lot of people to at least probably check out Noita for the first time. If not after a while, then for the first time ever. And so I decided, we got some momentum going. A lot of people who are gonna be wanting to try out the game, and I don't want them to feel lost. So I might be I'll be doing my best to pump out some more videos as we explore the new update and all that. But enough of that yapping. The last time we left off, kind of, I went over a little bit of getting gold, breaking out of the holy mountain, and getting a good Steve kick or a statue kick against Steve. And the reason why I find that so important is because it enables us to really go not quite to the moon, but get pretty strong in this next area. Now, the coal pits is one of my favorite biomes, or at least the second level. Oh, hard. Hello, hello. The coal pits is one of my favorite areas, um, coupled with the fungal caverns, which is to the west of the coal pits. But the reason for that, and actually, let me drop off some of these wands. You'll see is because the coal pits is a relatively small area. So what we call formations, which is kind of the terrain generation pattern, the coal pits generates things pretty densely, which means hearts are closer to each other, wands are closer to each other, chests, and all that stuff. And that's really time efficient, which is something that I appreciate as a rather impatient player at times. And wow, as of now, we can't really reach it really well. But once we get some form of digging, we're gonna capitalize on the fact that there's so much gold in this biome. So you don't have to worry about actually trick killing these enemies right here as much as you might do in the mines. Because once we get some digging, we can just farm up this gold instead of having to risk our lives hitting enemies and trying to get gold nuggets that are in kind of iffy places. But for now, the focus is on finding us a nice wand. At least something better than what we are starting off with. Now you might have noticed from the previous episode that I did not pick up the heart, the healing, at the Holy Mountain. And that was intentional. Let me pour some water here, because I think there was a little bit of gold. So if there was some molten gold down here, and I poured water on it and cooled it. No, so it became regular gold. Oh, here's some more gold. 830. Just from that little pocket, we got 40 gold. I might end up ignoring gold on the ground for two reasons. Reason number one is that I am pretty confident I'll get more along the way, so I don't need to be too vigilant about picking up every single gold nugget. And the second reason is because it's in a little bit of a dangerous place, right? If it's right next to the fire, even though I could pour water on myself, right, like so, I might run out of water the moment I hit the ground and I start walking around. And even if it only deals 2 or 3 damage to me, it's not worth it, in my opinion. The 10 gold is not worth 2 or 3 damage. Actually, let's check out what this is right here. Okay, it's a decent wand, something we can use. Now, I'll talk a little bit later, or not later, but soon, about sort of what constitutes a good wand, at least in the early game. But right now, I'm actually prioritizing washing the stain off of me, rather than killing the enemy, because I want to make sure that this stain doesn't deal damage. I can dodge enemy bullets. I cannot dodge the toxic sludge stain, so that will keep doing damage to me if I ignore it. So we've actually reached the fungal caverns, and right off the bat we actually find a wand. I'm not going to be able to carry more than 4 wands, so I'm actually going to leave right now because that area is dangerous, even though there is a high density of, well, hearts, wands, and potions that I may find, even more so than the coal pits. I'm gonna back off a little bit. I'm gonna wash this off using potion. So I'm actually pressing down on the water flask and I'm flying into it. So the idea is that because it takes some time for water to drop back down, it's more efficient to just levitate as I'm spraying water into the air, and that minimizes the time it takes for me to douse myself. And that way, we might save ourselves a tick or two of damage that, we would have normally taken if we waited for the water to fall back down. Now, here's a nice thing about picking up wands in the, well, just in general, anywhere, but really applicable for the coal pits, is that if you find some digging wand, you can actually use that as your new form of digging. So I didn't have to go back and grab my bomb wand, even though I dropped it off. Instead, I could also take advantage of the fact that I have all this digging, right? And if I know that I don't plan to use these magic missiles in the future, or I have more magic missiles waiting for me, I can use this to get a little bit of gold as well. And now we're at 1,000. And if I wanted to, I can swap out the magic missiles with this wand after I was done using all my magic missiles. Let's see what's down here below us. Will this kill him? There we go. Yeah, that was lightning. It's really fucking powerful, but really scary. What is this here? It's a decent wand, but, you know what? How many magic missiles do I have left? I don't need all of that, so let's just hop over back to, wand edit. So something to note is that I actually did not kill a lot of enemies right there, and a couple of enemies that I did kill, I didn't really pick up the gold. But I still left, or at least I came back to the Holy Mountain with a fair amount of gold after spending quite a bit. And all of that was, well, a big chunk, not all of it, but a big chunk of it was because been I've been collecting gold just in the area. Now we are back with some wands, some spoils of war that we had picked up while we were away. And this is another reason why it's so important, in my opinion, to get used to breaking out of the Holy Mountain and killing Steve, is because you can just run back and forth and edit your wands. And being able to edit your wands is really, really good. Now, what is a good wand? And for the new players, like, how do you read a wand really quickly? Right. Well, first couple of things that you might want to take note of is whether or not it has a shuffle, which is going to be the first stat. So we see here, now how wand building works is that if a wand has no shuffle, if this says no, then it will cast spells from left to right. So it's going to fire Spark Bolt, and then it's going to fire Pollen, like so, every time, and then until it can't fire anymore. So if there's an empty space, it's going to go Spark Bolt, Pollen, and then back to Spark Bolt, Pollen, and so on and so forth, like that. Now, if it is a shuffle wand, like this one right here, the order just completely does not matter. It will fire randomly. It will fire spells in a random order until each spell has been cast once. So it's gonna either fire Spark Bolt and then a Pollen, or Pollen and then a Spark Bolt. And this time it was a Spark Bolt and a Pollen. Next time it was a Pollen and then a Spark Bolt. So You do have a little bit of control as to what spells you want this wand to fire, but you don't have much control over the order. But the good thing about shuffle wands is that most of these shuffle wands have better stats than non-shuffle wands. And what am I talking about? Well, a good way to compare the stats of your wand versus a different one. So if right now I am holding this shuffle wand in my first slot, which is why I have a yellow border around it. If I hover over any other wand in my inventory, like so, some numbers will appear green and some numbers will appear red. And so what green means is basically that the corresponding stat for the one that I am hovering over is better than the one I have equipped. In other words, the cast delay of this wand that I'm hovering over, wand 2, the one with the teleport bolt, is better than the cast delay of the wand I have selected, which is wand 1. So this has 0.03 seconds of cast delay, this has 0.8 seconds of cast delay. However, all of these red numbers, recharge time, mana max, all that, this one has worse stats than the green one, well, the first one. Shuffle, this non-shuffle wand, and this is a really good shuffle wand. But if I were to look at, for example, a wand on the floor, the same thing applies. Now, this is the one that's being compared to everything in my inventory. You see that this wand that I had selected in my first hotkey area has almost all green numbers. That's because all of these stats are better than this shuffle wand. It fires faster, it has more mana, it recharges its mana faster. The only downside is that, well, it's shuffle, so you don't have as much control over the order in which the spells are cast. However, if you don't really care about, how many, like what order you just cast the spells at, if you just want to fire at your enemies consistently, well then you could just throw them all onto a shuffle wand. Or, for example, if you only want to cast one spell, this energy sphere, if this is, your strongest spell, singular spell, then you can do this, right? And it's much better than putting it on a shuffle wand, even though non-shuffle wands are preferred in the late game. You put on a shuffle wand and just, have a greater impact. So mana recharge is one of the more important stats to look at when you're sort of prioritizing which ones to hold on to. Shuffle, of course, and then there is also, forgot to pick up some digging. I'm gonna go back and put this magic missile on a wand. And cast delay and recharge time. Those are kind of the four main stats that people look at. Spread is usually pretty good on a wand. Capacity is more of something that you consider in the later game. Now, this shop had pollen, which was just actually really fortunate. Pollen is one of those spells that will actually dig terrain. So there is an explosion radius on pollen that damages the surrounding ground. So if we fire the pollen directly into this ground, we see we make a little bit crater, and we can now actually pick up some of this gold. So I forgot how much gold we went into the Holy Mountain with, but we, just from that node, we have gotten probably over 100 gold, and now we're at 1300, which is an easy number to look at or to keep in mind. Let's just grab this small pocket, or these small pockets just right at the start of the level, see how much we come out with. But you don't have to worry about destroying gold, because gold has inherent explosion immunity or explosion resistance. I'm pretty sure it's immunity if it's not. So just from that little bit of gold, and we didn't even get all of it, we got 200 gold from that. And remember, we were aiming to get maybe around 600 in the mines, and without doing anything, we already got 200 here, which is why I really, really like the coal pits. This piece of pollen, if I accidentally walk into it, I said this piece of pollen, if I accidentally walk into it, there we go, that will deal 5 damage to me. So you have to be a little bit careful. Just having it explode against the terrain will not damage me. Just fire from behind cover, take these guys down, have a look at what the ones are. So there's a little bit of lava here, and sometimes there's a delay of the blood generating, which is why it is always better to wait a little bit. Ooh. To not be too hasty when getting gold from kills. And this gold right here, I'm not even gonna bother. I'm just gonna move on. We got another triple, so we got another multicast. That's a triple spell. So let's throw that on a wand. Why not? And then, you know what? Might as well grab this gold right here. Because it's right there, right? This is a shuffle wand, which is unfortunate. And it has quite a bit of spread, actually. 8 degrees is a lot. But we have things that we want from it. The triple spell. Maybe Bloodlust. The fact that it makes projectiles able to hurt me as well is something to be aware of. But I think for now I can manage that now. And let's grab the non-shuffle one that we had discarded a while ago. So now we can do this. We can put a triple spell, 3 fire bombs, and we're gonna switch over to this 1/4. We can fire 3 of these at the same time. What that means is that, you know, our first wand, and I'm gonna shoot at the statue to show some damage numbers. Right, we're doing 30 damage. Well, instead, from one shot, oh, wrong wand, 1/4. From one shot, we can deal 30 damage. Right, and if we want to even go even further, we can apply. Let's say we apply Bloodlust to it. Now, that's 129 damage. And if I want to do even more, I can nest multicasts. So this will cast 3 spells, 1, 2, 3, and then this will cast 2 more spells. So 1, 2, and so it'll cast the 3. Well, I accidentally attacked the corpse of Steve, but it will cast these 3 fire bombs and then 1 spark bolt, like so. The downside is that all of these spells require a mana cost. So if you look at this blue bar, it'll be going down quite a bit for each cast. Whereas with the non-shuffle spell, with the shuffle wand, excuse me, the energy sphere could be just cast repeatedly, however much I want, because the wand's mana charge could keep up with spamming this spell. You might be tempted to say, well, why isn't it like 5, right? Because it's 3 plus 2. Well, the thing is, if I did this, right, it's 3 plus 2. It will fire the 3, and then it will fire the 2, because it needs to the multicast needs to be nested inside of each other. So you actually go -1. But this is a pretty good wand to have right now. And you know what? I'll switch over my teleport bolt to this one because it's strictly better. And I can do that by switching to my second wand and then hovering over this one that I was originally using my teleport bolt with. And you can see that all these numbers are pretty much red. But here, let's check this out. Instantly, we just get rid of an enemy. And this is really there we go. Hide behind cover. This is a pretty strong build, and this is only in the second area. In a short amount of time, we've gotten quite powerful. And that's just, I'm going to avoid this piece of gold because it is next to a lot of dangerous stuff. Hey, we got some more health. Having a lot of money does not mean you will win the run. There are some roguelikes where if you have enough cash, you can kind of break the game. You know, one that comes to mind is Binding of Isaac. If you have like infinite gold, you can just buy as many items you want from shops and all that. Rerolls. But it's different with Noita. You need skill to back up your wealth, and there's no going around that. Hey, you just stumbled upon a bunch of gold. Already gotten quite a bit of gold. We're at 3,000 now, and there's not much of the map left to explore. From here on out, I would say that you can go to the next holy mountain, and you might notice, well, I have a lot of health. You know, why would I go the next area? I don't need to heal. you can always save the heal for later, whenever you need it the most. And it's actually a good thing when you walk into a holy mountain with almost full health, because that means you didn't take unnecessary damage. This area to the west is called Fungal Caverns. It has a lot of really deadly enemies. I would not, if you are having a really good run and you're not too familiar with, I guess, just like your enemies in Noita. Ooh, a chainsaw. That's a really good spell. If you're not really familiar with the enemies here and you're still working out your mechanics and all that, I would just avoid this place altogether. Or do what I did, you go just to the entrance of this biome and then get like one or two things and then get out. So from here on out, we're gonna hop in to the portal, and I'm gonna teach you part 2 of the statue kicking of Steve. Now, you might have remembered that I killed Steve in the last episode, but that was with setting up my that was setting up the statue onto this platform. Now we don't have the ability to set up the statue because he's guarding that platform. So what do? Well, we have plan B, or rather, it's most people's plan A to kill Steve. But first things I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to aggro Steve over to where I am. So I'm gonna kind of hide around this corner, and you might take a little bit of damage. Fortunately, I had explosion immunity right there, and I could have used my teleport to dodge it, but I tried to do it without using teleport. And Steve, he's gonna attack the fishes, which gives us some time to set up here. We're gonna stand on this left-hand corner of the statue once he is right above us. Oh, well, that's bad. Ow. Now we're in a bit of a pickle. I'll try to pull a clip of me actually doing it well in a bit, but this is usually the plan B of the statue kick. Oh. And I'm not doing really well, as you might have noticed. Oh my gosh, please. Okay, there we go. Just need Steve to make his way over here. Come on. Come on. There he is. It's gonna go into this little choke point, and then boom, there we go. I kicked the statue into him, and he had nowhere to go. So that happens a lot. That actually happens more than I'd like, where the statue kind of phases through Steve for some reason. But I will put a clip of me doing an actual statue kick, showing you how it's supposed to go. And we're gonna actually go here. We're gonna stand on the left base of this statue, so Steve does not have a direct line of sight, and I'm gonna kick upwards once he hovers over to this area. Now Steve was a little bit fast this time in getting over to where I was, in a weird position. I'm gonna grab a perk real quick. This one's pretty good. That's also gonna help make my black holes travel further. Okay, so we are back. This is what the statue will look like, hopefully, when you enter the Holy Mountain. You're gonna want to stand on this left side of the platform, right? It's not pixel perfect. You don't have to. There's a fair allowance in the range in which you can do a statue kick. But I like standing just enough to be on the edge of the statue. I don't know whether it's true or not, but people prefer to be looking to the left as they've found it to be more consistent. But the important thing is to aim where you want to kick the statue. So if you aim towards the right, the statue will fly towards the right. If you aim upwards, the statue will fly upwards. Unless, say, Steve is, moving, and he gets above you, you're gonna want to just kick, and the statue will fly into Steve, and that will deal a good amount of damage. If you're lucky, or if you're unlucky, then what just happened to me might happen to you, and in that case, you're gonna want to book it all the way to this statue and go for Plan B, where you funnel him into a choke point. He can't really get a good line of sight against it, and then just bam, just smack that statue into Steve. Show him who's boss. But hopefully, this gives you a little bit of a roadmap as to what to do once you've cleared the mines. You feel like you're pretty comfortable with your position, but there's all this treasure in this biome and you're not sure what to do with it. Good luck with the runs. Enjoy Noita. As always, feel free to ask questions. And thanks for watching.